right, what's going on, you guys? Nick here with Nick Strength and Power. I've got a couple of interesting stories for you guys today. The first story that I've got for you guys today, this is kind of the big breaking story of the day. GoodVito apparently looks like he has a lat tear, has pulled out of the 2025 Pittsburgh Pro this weekend, just days before the show. Now, this is a little bit disappointing, I think. I think a lot of people were really looking forward to seeing GoodVito as the dark horse in this lineup, the newcomer, the young, potentially rising star in bodybuilding, unable to compete. Now, I don't know for sure, but I believe he will still be there in Pittsburgh physically, just not competing. So this was the statement that GoodVito gave, or the translation of the statement that GoodVito gave. He says, "It's with great sadness I announce I will not be competing in the Pittsburgh Pro Championships due to a major back muscle injury I suffered about a week ago and did not report before. Trying to alleviate the symptoms by preparing my body for the championship following a strict routine. In addition to the intense pain I'm willing to endure, the swollen muscle does not allow me to pose properly and negatively affects my proportions. I came to this championship to be a worthy competitor, and my goal was to look way better than I did a month ago. But since that's becoming impossible. So along with my coach, a decision was made to focus on recovering my body and getting ready for the Mr. Olympia. Thank you to everyone who supported me." Now, looking at the pictures, you definitely can't blame GoodVito for making this decision. Looking at these images, it looks like it's definitely an injury that's worthy of pulling out of the show. It looks like it's actually pretty serious and might need some immediate attention. But I'm a little disappointed we don't get to see him in this lineup. I don't think it's effectively going to change anything when it comes to the top three. I still felt like had he competed, and I still feel like had he competed, he wouldn't have been top three. I think that top three is pretty solid. Martin, Nick, and Derek, and maybe even the top 4 or 5, including Krizo and Bonac. I don't necessarily think GoodVito would have cracked those really high-level placings, so I don't think this is really going to change the outcome of the show too much. But having GoodVito in the lineup, being that wild card factor, and anything can happen in bodybuilding, who knows how he would have played. So it is a little disappointing, but GoodVito will not be there. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. How do you think this impacts the lineup? How do you think this would impact the results? Where did you have GoodVito placing when you thought he was still doing the show? But in any case, I definitely wish GoodVito a speedy recovery. Now, next up in the news, I'm not really sure how to feel about this one. This one, I don't know, but it could be really big. It could be really bad. Dan Solomon. So you guys are very familiar with this point, this discussion about the black backdrop at the Olympia specifically, and this big discourse that happened last week when Dan adamantly refused. And again, Dan is the president of the Olympia. He adamantly refused the black backdrop, citing his reason being he needs to grow the sport of bodybuilding. That responsibility is on him. And in his mind, what brings the sponsors and what brings that growth is these big, elaborate displays at the Olympia. The background, the lasers, the smoke, the LED lights, the crazy graphics on the screen. These are the things that grow the business of bodybuilding. And the fan reaction to that was a visceral, adamant rejection of what Dan had to say. In fact, I looked through the comments on my video, the Instagram post. I didn't even see one person defending Dan's statement here. I didn't see one that liked the backdrop at the Olympia, that liked the lasers at the Olympia, that liked the smoke at the Olympia. This was not just a few rogue critics, as Dan kind of put it in that interview. He seemed to think it was just a few people that wanted this black backdrop or wanted a less noisy, less distracting, less insane-looking backdrop. But I think he realized, or I hope he realized, after reading through those comments, it's the vast majority of fans and pro bodybuilders, which we're going to talk about in a second. But Dan put out a statement in the form of an Instagram comment today. And the reason why I say I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing, he said in the comments, "Fine, you convinced me. with a little smiley face emoji. I'll tell our production crew to quiet the background. If they want black, give them black. Love you guys. Heart emoji. So I think with the emojis, and then how adamant Dan was in the initial video that he wasn't going to change anything based on this feedback from the fans, this comment read to a lot of people like it could potentially be just him being sarcastic, just him trolling. And I was looking at the comment section of the buys and tries post, and you can see two pro bodybuilders, not just pro bodybuilders. These are two Olympians that had the balls to say this publicly. And in addition to these two, there's many more that are saying this behind the scenes. But I think this is a good illustration of the point. It's not even just the fans. It's your own Olympia competitors that feel this way about the backdrop, about that setup. So Ross Flanagan, he's competed at the Olympia. If this is a slight, this is a horrible look. Ian Valliere responds, again, pro bodybuilder, retired, but he's a former Olympian, the brother of, obviously, Chris Bumstead, the classic physique Olympia standard at this point. And Ian says, yeah, if he's being sarcastic, and now this is out as people thinking he's doing it, it looks terrible. So again, these are just two pros saying this publicly, but privately, I've seen dozens. And the sentiment is not only just agreeing with the fans, and again, I don't think the pros issue, the highest one on their list, is the backdrop. I don't think that's the case. They have other issues with the Olympia, but that's one of them. And the sentiment seems to be they don't like the way their pictures and videos look because the backdrop and the lighting and the smoke and stuff is so distracting. There's a lot of pros that feel this way. So it's not just some rogue critics. It's not just a couple fans. It's the majority of fans, and it looks like also the majority of pros. But a lot of them are just afraid to speak up because it's the Olympia. They don't want to impact their placing or their potential standing or their qualification at the Olympia or face any type of repercussions for voicing this. There's a lot of people that feel this way. So, on one hand, if Dan is being genuine here, I want to give him a ton of credit. For him to walk back the statement that he made in the interview and actually listen to the feedback, listen to the fans, and implement the things they're asking for at the Olympia, even though it might be counterintuitive to what he thinks is best for business and best for growing the sport of bodybuilding, I applaud him for that. I take my hat off to him. I think that is fantastic. If he is being genuine in this statement, I think this is a massive step forward for bodybuilding. You talk about growing bodybuilding, listening to the fan feedback, I think is probably one of the biggest things you could do next to listening to the athlete feedback directly. And the athletes are saying this too. So if Dan is swallowing his pride and acknowledging this, I think it's fantastic. On the other hand, if Dan is being sarcastic in this comment and he still feels the way that he apparently felt in that interview, and he's not swayed at all by the vast majority of people disagreeing with him, whether they're fans, athletes, whatever, I think this is one of the worst moves he could possibly make. He's going to become the most hated promoter in bodybuilding if this is just a sarcastic comment. And really, if it is a sarcastic comment, it's almost like spitting directly in the face of the fans and the athletes. So I hope that it's not. We don't know that it is a sarcastic comment. I think the emojis were really the main thing that made people think that. But if it's genuine, hats off to Dan. If it's sarcasm, I feel like Dan will reap what he sows here. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Do you think Dan's being genuine? Do you think he's being sarcastic? Do you think we'll actually see a change implemented at the Olympia? Yes or no? Let me know in the comments down below. Now, next up in the news, Larry Wheels posted an Instagram story that may have confirmed when we will see him step on stage. He posted a picture with the caption, "Trying to beat this guy," next week, and obviously it's a picture of himself. So if you look at next week's schedule, there are a bunch of NPC shows next weekend. My speculation was that he's going to do the Junior Nationals, which would not be until, a couple more weeks, a couple weeks after even next weekend. Now, I guess it depends on where Larry is competing, but I look through all these shows that are next weekend, and it looks like none of them, at least the ones that are in the United States, are pro qualifiers. So I don't think you can get a pro card at any of the shows that are here in the States next weekend. So maybe that could mean that Larry has to re-qualify to do a national level show like the Junior USA. So maybe he needs to qualify for that again. And then maybe he still does that show in 3 weeks, I think it is. Because, again, based on what I'm looking at here on this schedule, I don't see any opportunities for him domestically. And it looks like he is in the States right now based on his recent videos. So I don't see anything for him domestically to earn a pro card next week. But I guess only time will tell. Maybe we do see Larry step on stage at one of these random shows next week to become nationally qualified again and do the Junior USAs. But let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And actually, I think we can end the video there. Just make it a short one today. I think those stories are really pretty big stories, and there's a lot to talk about in the comments. So I think we'll end the video there. I hope you guys did, in fact, enjoy it. Make sure you like the video, subscribe to the channel, click that bell notification icon, and make sure to have this discussion in the comments below, because I think this will be a really interesting one today. And as always, I love you guys. I appreciate you guys. Nick Strength and Power signing out. All right, guys, don't forget to click that like button and subscribe to this channel if you enjoy the content. Also, check out my Instagram at Nick Strength Power, my Facebook page, which is simply Nick Strength and Power, my secondary YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Vlogs, for vlogs and bonus content that you will not see on this channel. And consider subscribing to my third YouTube channel, Nick Strength and Pokemon, which is all things Pokemon and trading card games, completely unrelated to this channel. So if you're into that, give that one a look. And all links to merchandise and social media will be in the description box below. If you guys want a Nick Strength and Power t-shirt, that will be in the Shopify link below. Have a great day.